Thanks for joining us on our streaming service for your First Alert Avalanche Report. I'm your First Alert meteorologist, Alex Lehnert, and joining me is the Deputy Director of the Colorado Avalanche Information Center, Brian Lazar. Okay, Brian, we are bracing for a potent winter storm this weekend that's set to bring very heavy snow and strong wind to the high country. Talk about that, what that means for avalanche concern the next couple of days.
Yeah, well, as you might expect, this means an uptick in avalanche danger. And so let me start by kind of showing where we sit on Thursday afternoon. And you can see that we've got a lot of dangerous avalanche conditions across the state of Colorado. All that orange color means we're at level 3 out of 5 or considerable avalanche danger. That's pretty dangerous all by itself. Then you can see those red areas, which means we're at high avalanche danger, which means we expect a lot of kind of natural avalanche activity, very dangerous avalanche conditions. Those orange triangles mean that we are in an avalanche watch on Thursday because of the incoming storm that you just mentioned. And a lot of those areas that are in the watch now will likely go to an avalanche warning. And the difference between those two types of conditions is that the avalanche watch means we expect very dangerous avalanche conditions to arrive really quickly within the next 24 hours or so, where we expect a lot of these places to reach high avalanche danger. The avalanche warning, which is going to start Thursday night and last through Friday, means the dangerous avalanche conditions are here. And our peak instability, our most dangerous avalanche conditions throughout the weekend are going to be Thursday night and through Friday. This means we expect widespread natural avalanche activity. The avalanches will be big enough to bury, injure, or kill a person. And during the warning period, we simply recommend that people do not travel in or under avalanche terrain because conditions are going to be so dangerous. And the reason is because of this storm that you just mentioned. So you can see we've got a lot of snow arriving starting on Thursday night. These red areas indicate, more than a foot of snow. These pink areas, which you can see in portions of the flat tops, the Grand Mesa, the Elk Mountains, we could see, 1.5 feet or even, 2 feet of snow. To further exacerbate that is, and this is all coming with a lot of wind. And so these blue colors indicate wind speeds at the surface of 15 to 30 miles an hour. These yellows are 30 plus miles an hour. So this is a lot of snow coming with a lot of wind. And this just is what's driving the pretty rapid uptick in avalanche danger.
So, Brian, the mountains have been on just a weather roller coaster from warm and dry to snowy to warm again. Obviously, that weakens things out there, but you just touched on the wind. Talk about how that impacts what that can mean for avalanches.
Yeah, so wind will pick up, the snow and drift it onto the leeward sides of slopes. And what that can do is create these stiffer slabs that are many times thicker than the amount of snow that you just received. So if we get a foot of snowfall, you could see wind drifted slabs 3 or more feet thick. And we saw a pretty good precursor of what this is going to do from the little bit of snow and wind we got earlier in the week. So here's, an avalanche that broke around a foot thick near Breckenridge from just about 4 or 5 inches of snowfall. In portions of the Elk Mountains, we got closer to a foot of snow, and you can see avalanches were breaking 2 or more feet thick just in the wind drifted snow from earlier in the week. So you can imagine these types of avalanches, which were pretty sensitive and easy to trigger with a small amount of snow, 5 to maybe 12 inches at the most, is a precursor of what's to come when we're looking at 12 to 24 inches coming out of this oncoming storm with even more wind. So these types of avalanches, like the one near Silverton here, are only going to get bigger. They're going to grow bigger in size and they're going to get deeper. And this just means that avalanche conditions are going to become more dangerous because a lot of these are going to run naturally. When you have a snow load that comes that fast with that much wind, avalanche conditions are just going to get really dangerous, and natural avalanche activity will increase. And obvious signs of wind drifting like this cornice means you've got these stiff wind drifted slabs just below you.
So you talk about the size of these avalanches. You say they're going to get bigger. Can you talk a little bit about what the size of these avalanches could be that we'll be dealing with the next couple of days?
Yeah, what's really driving the avalanche danger is a dramatic uptick in avalanches just in the storm snow. So just avalanches breaking in the storm snow themselves are going to be big enough to bury, injure, or kill a person. But what makes conditions even more worrisome is we still have those weak layers deeper in the snowpack that we've been talking about for weeks. Here's a pretty stark illustration of what that looks like. In this case, we just have the most recent storm snow sitting over visibly weaker snow near the surface. Now, what the weak layers look like, where they exist in the snowpack does vary vary by the state, but almost everywhere has got weak layers deeper in the snowpack. And we have the potential for avalanches breaking in the storm snow near the surface to step down into more deeper buried weak layers. And here's a video which just illustrates, how these weak layers can step down.
That's both layers. That one's 30 over 100. See if we can get another result with this upper weak layer. Both weak layers of concern. This is why the PSTs have been pretty helpful right now. You can imagine any avalanche that got going about that deep can then easily step down.
So that video illustrates, the potential for step-down avalanches before the incoming storm snow. So we're just getting another layer of concern on top of that stuff. So when we're talking about these avalanches potentially stepping into deeper weak layers, that's the kinds of conditions that are going to produce these monster avalanches, like the one you can see here from near Aspen from our last loading event. And these avalanches are breaking hundreds of feet wide. You can see this one broke near the ground. They're running thousands of vertical feet, and these types of avalanches are essentially unsurvivable, which is why we're gonna have these dangerous conditions persist through the weekend, even though the avalanche warnings are expiring. And so we need to, even in the periods of considerable danger after the avalanche warning expires as we move through the weekend, we need to be cognizant of overhead steeper terrain, because avalanches of this size can easily run into the runout zones. So even if you're in flatter terrain, make sure you're giving any steep slopes fairly wide berth. To further complicate things is that we have another warm, sunny weekend coming up, and we're gonna have a lot of fresh, cold snow. So as we hit that cold snow with warmer temperatures and strong March sunshine, we can expect some of that snow to slough off in smaller, loose, wet avalanche activity. So things are really dynamic. If it sounds complicated, it is because conditions are swinging wildly between spring and winter. And when conditions are this dynamic, it's really important you stay on top of the current avalanche forecast, because things are changing by day to day, and in some cases, hour to hour.
All right, definitely a lot to watch going into the next couple of days. Brian, thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you here next week for your First Alert Avalanche Report.